Alright guys, hopefully today's project here we're going to get this, and it's a Briggs Vanguard. I believe this is, it's either 27 or 31 horsepower, came off a Hustler Zero Turn. It's from a friend of mine's sawmill, and I really don't remember much about it. It's been a month since I've looked at it or touched it. As you guys know, I got the Westchester running, so I try and work on some other people's stuff that is floating around here. There is three things. This I just want to get done because it's just a motor. Get it running, make sure it works. Figure out the wiring. Originally this was propane powered, so he put the carburetor on it over the propane hat, or the mixing hat. And pretty much we just kind of, want to start her up and make sure everything's going to work. I'll have to figure out which way the choke is. I could probably look down in there and see. Okay, that's closed. I don't know if you guys can see it moving. See, that's open. That's closed. So, got that much figured out. So anyhow, pretty much the only thing I really have to do, and this is pretty much what I used to do for my day job here. I'm going to look because he has a lot of stuff sitting in here finger tight. Look for bolts that I make sure aren't going to rattle out going to the fan and try and kill me. And we'll go from there. I just need to hot wire the fuel solenoid down in there. 2 pins, one's power, one's ground. Don't remember if it matters. I'll just hook it up to the battery and then I'll, just give her the old, just touch it just a little bit and see if it clicks. Pretty much one way it'll work, one way it won't. That's the way most of that stuff is. It won't fry it. Just for a second. At least that kind of stuff. Voltage regulator or something real sensitive like a computer? No. That is just an electromagnet. Won't hurt it. So, anyhow, got the carb off eBay. Supposedly it ran coming out of the Zero Turn, but the propane parts that it needed to fix it weren't available. I think they just weren't looking in the right place, but what do I know? And he's going to repower his sawmill with it. His band sawmill is Wood-Mizer, which actually I have video of running that mill. Motor currently runs, but he wants to put a second alternator on there, so I could run 2 winches and stuff. So, alright, enough BSing. Let's get crack-a-lacking at it, shall we? Guess I need a battery. Convenient. So boys, I got me a battery hooked up. I got another cable and made that one ground. Yeah, it's red too, but this is just for mock-up. And see what we got going on here. Okay, so we got that right. So the fuel solenoid works. And I never really said going into this, but all that little valve or electromagnet does is there's a little plunger on the end of it that goes out and blocks the main jet. So basically they call it an anti-backfire valve, so when the engine's shutting down there's no fuel being dragged through the carburetor, or very little, just on the idle jet. So in quotes, it should keep it from what? Backfiring. So that's why they're on there. You can run it old school without it. Just gotta idle it down like any other normal thing, but these big giant mufflers, when they're hot and they get fuel in them, they tend to go bang. That's why they're on there. So the only other thing I need to do is I need to make sure that the starter works. I'm sure it does, but I just want to double check it once with the fuel solenoid unhooked. And I'm gonna need like 6 arms in order to work on this thing, because I'm gonna have to hold the motor and the throttle shut. If the governor's working, just realized that wasn't hooked up. Should be okay for a test, and it should drop back down to idle. But if it's not working, it'll rip to the moon. Again, should be working, but not a clue. Then if I get that working, I'll have to see if See if that fuel pump works down there. Looks like there's only 2 ports, one in, one out. Kind of want to hear it run, and then I'll test the fuel pump and stuff. So, alright, here we go. Alright, boys. So I think we're ready. Everything's clear. Got my hoodie strings rolled up in so it won't catch. Take a step back. Should crank up. Well, let me, it had oil in it, but let me double check. Yep. Full mark. Now if I can get it in there with my left hand. Alright, I'm just going to touch it, see if it cranks over. Shouldn't do anything too crazy. Sounds good. It'd be nice if I had somewhere to sit this fuel tank that wasn't on top of the motor. Maybe that's kind of fine because it won't sit there and run unless I hold it for the moment. So I guess the terminology for this is let's go for broke, I guess. I don't know if that's going to stay hooked or not. Yeah, if it comes unhooked, the worst thing happens, it shuts off. Pretty much, I guess if I can't get it to shut off, I'm just going to yank the plug wires off. I should have checked for spark, but I did not. So probably this lower black wire, if I hook around to it, should kill spark. But let's don't need choke. Nice to have a... Hold on, I do have something. Hold on, hold on. Alright, just added a ratchet strap to that just for a little peace of mind. Just kind of gonna have to watch because this is sticking out back here. These all loose. That's nice. Took all the stuff off the crank in the front. Got oil in it. So, without further ado, for the second, I'm going to hold the throttle closed and see what happens. So, here we go. We ain't got no spark. No spark or no fuel. Give her the old spark tester. So I got the idle. Should do something this time. Yep. It'll run. One more time. I ain't gonna lie, I get a little scared the first time I start anything up. Contact. Oh. Fuel solenoid wire come off on the positive. That'll do her. Hello. So why is it arcing? Are they touching together now? There we go. Yeah, wires were touching. That's on. So, okay, contact. Yeah, the alligator clip shorted together there. That's what happened. Yeah, the alligator clips or the starter solenoid went funky there, or starter solenoid. Anti-backfire solenoid. Kind of weird. I'm going to go out on a limb and say those were touching. Alright. Let me come up with a better way to jump that. And then I'll be back. Okay? Okay. Alright guys, we're back in business. You guys are supposed to be my fire watchers. Like, what were you guys doing? Oh, that'll work there too. Okay, so I'm actually using the little rubber ends on the alligator clips now. Helps do that, I guess. So should fire up here. I think the choke clip on it. Now, idled her down a little too far there, boys. Fuel solenoid still working. Runs nice and smooth, don't smoke or nothing. Shut down with the fuel solenoid. That knocking was it shaking against the deck carriage for a couple cadet beside it. Actually, I'm surprised it's still running because I think the fuel level's below it. Go again. stuff, you always gotta choke it. Starting to run out of fuel on the car. This car seems like it's pretty good. I have lights on it. So I'm happy with that. I'll text my buddy and report my findings and see what he wants to do. He kind of wanted me to rig up, I believe the throttle and choke on this thing, or at least the throttle. But the throttle needs to hook there? Question mark? Oh, it would be full throttle, huh? Okay. Good. Yeah. So, anyhow, I guess that's good. That's pretty, that was pretty simple. I didn't know if it was going to be easy or hard or what. So, text him and tell him I got it running and everything seems to work alright. Haven't hooked up the charging system or nothing, but should be good to go. So boys, I'm not gonna lie, I really didn't pick the camera up this weekend like I normally do. I make almost all my videos on the weekend anymore. And really just didn't videotape anything. I mean, all day yesterday we worked on the club's, I forget what year it is, but it's a 364 International. It's a British International. And we changed the front crank seal in that, got that done. Fixed a couple of things on the tractor, clutch was stuck, got that working, some welding on the mower deck. I just never picked the camera up. I was busy the whole time, never at the boss's shop, so that happened. Today, George, the guy that owns this motor, he brought the tins over and stuff for it. In the last video, I may have shown the wiring harness, I don't remember, but as of right now, I got it cut down to pretty much all the useful wires. A lot of that down there needs spliced together for like the PTO and stuff, and I have no PTO switch, so that's something I gotta talk to him about, because I didn't realize it while he was standing here. But can do that, and I got the PTO on there, and there's the wires for it. Simple power and ground. He's not worried about the oil pressure switch shutting it down or anything. He may put a gauge or a simple light on here, so I'm not too worried about that, but I'm not going to cut the wires off for right now. Other than that, there's not really a whole lot I'm going to do. Probably this red wire here I'm going to splice in, and that's where the hour meter is going to go. So anytime the voltage regulator has power, or the anti-backfire solenoid has power, the hour meter will run, which is pretty much what you want. Yeah. So that's pretty much it. I got it hooked up to the key switch over here. Short version of a long story, the white wire goes to the starter solenoid. The black wire, I'm pretty sure, is the power to the anti-backfire solenoid. That's just the color that goes over there, and that's the one I'm going to make the hot wire, because I didn't want to piggyback off this red wire that goes over from the voltage regulator, so it'll shut down if you shut the key off. He's going to have a separate push button to ground ignition. And basically this big orange wire, which turns into a multi-braid wire here, is going to be for the voltage regulator, and stuff like the PTO switch power is going to come off of here, or I'm going to pull directly off the starter. The starter there, I'm undecided on that. Pretty much got to get the switch and figure out what we want to do there. So pretty much all I got for this weekend. It's a little after 5 right now, and I'm going to get ready because the club's international is still over there, so I'm going to take some butt connectors and stuff to fix the lights. Take a little bit of wire. And what else do we need over there? Got the little jumper, jump the clutch switch. And really that's about it. The oil needs changed. We have to get a filter for it. Belt for the mower was messed up. Had a twist in it, and anytime we go around the pulley it would stay like square. It would like kick out like anywhere, like any pulley, and there's like I don't know, 6 or 8 of them on a 6-foot woods mower, finish mower. So I think I'm going to call it with that, and like I said, I'm just going to see if I can get the lights wired up on it that work, because it's always nice to have lights, and go from there.